everyone. So I'm Tara. I'm from Sand School in Devon, and I'm a Year 9 student. So we've got a 90-second drawing exercise that we want everyone to try if they have pen and paper to hand. So I'll give you like a minute or two to go and grab a pen and paper or pencils or whatever you'd like to draw with. And then there'll be a 90-second timer to draw how you're like feeling about the current climate emergency. So does anyone feel like they'd like to talk through what they've drawn? If we start from like top left corner and then go across, if you'd like to.
Am I top? Am I who's top?
Yeah, we're all in different places, I think.
Dominique, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, sure. So I just drew myself with a big kind of. I'm not an artist, so I tried to draw myself with a big surprised, kind of confused face, because what I find is I understand all the issues that are out there, but I don't see the action in general, particularly from grown-ups. And I just cannot fathom how the things that you read about being potentially true relate to the way that the world is reacting to it. So I'm just utterly kind of torn between those two worlds. I've made a lot of sort of life choices around believing these things, and I sometimes just feel, well, why have I done these things if it's no one else's?
Okay, thank you, Dominic. Yeah, we've got time for like one or two others who, could you like raise your hands if you want to? Okay. Remy, Isla, Victor, and from Millfields. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, okay. So I guess I'll talk through my drawing. So this is, for me, climate change, a big fat blob. And this small dot is kind of barely visible, is me. So I kind of feel small, definitely in comparison to climate change. But then I also feel a bit hopeful. There's other people like me, small dots, coming together. So we might be able to fight this.
I think, Liz, I also noted a hand up earlier from you. Maybe it's our last one.
Yeah, sure. No, mine was quite similar to your first one. It was very mixed and probably similar to the guys that just spoke then as well. Really, really concerned about what's going on, but holding on to that hope that people will start to realize what's going on and join together to do something about it. So not feeling quite so isolated and feeling like a lone voice shouting into the wind and hoping that things can change.
Amazing. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. I'm conscious of time, but also a couple of more hands up that were excited to share. Esme, do you want to finish us off with your drawing?
Yeah, so mine's a bit confusing if you just can explain. So it's an ice cream cone, but the world's the ice cream. So I know that some people really like the world and do a lot for it, but then some people don't do anything. And I know some of my classmates, if I talk to them about it, just go, why are you doing that? I don't get that. Also, I love ice cream and the world is the ice cream, so love it. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Esme. I think so far my quote of the session is I love ice cream, and thinking of the world as this ice cream we all love. That's such a beautiful note for us to get started on. So thank you for that beautiful metaphor. And welcome again to everyone. I know a couple of people joined halfway through the drawing activity, so that's fine. If anyone else is really excited to share what they drew or their conceptualization of this question, feel free to put it in the chat. It's always nice to see and get to hear about everyone's creativity and really see what you visualized around this question. So feel free to keep popping those drawings in the chat. So I thought I'd also just start grounding us in a little bit of an introduction. I know some of you in the room might know Ashoka as an organization quite well. For others of you, you might not have heard of Ashoka very much, but really, really interested in the climate conversation, which is why you might be here. So I thought I'd do a very, very brief introduction of Ashoka. We are a global organization that supports some of the world's leading social entrepreneurs to really scale their systems changing social impact. And we've been doing this over the last 40 years through lifelong fellowships for these social entrepreneurs who are committed to changing the world for the better. And doing that through running their own nonprofits and organizations. But actually, with this 40 years of experience of supporting social entrepreneurs in changing the world for the better, we've realized that actually it's not just enough to be supporting these amazing people who have set up these amazing organizations, but actually it's crucial for all of us, regardless of whatever walk of life we're coming from, regardless of how much despair, whatever our feelings are towards some of the really big challenges in the world, whether we feel like we're that tiny dot that I believe Remy drew in his picture, or that we have bigger power. We really want to create a world where every person feels like they can have an impact and can make change and can collaborate with others to solve some of these big challenges in the world. And you'll see we've got some amazing, brilliant young people and children in the room today who are the future generation and who are perhaps some of the most important stakeholders who are part of this vision of building a world where everyone sees themselves as a change maker. So at Ashoka, we work quite closely with a network of change maker schools to really create the conditions where all young people feel empowered to change systems. And in the UK, we work with 15 such schools, 3 of whom are together with us today. And these are the schools who are really pioneering ways to enable young people to be socially minded leaders. And really one of the core principles and values we came into designing this session is with, it really shouldn't be Ashoka doing the talking, but rather these young people have done some brilliant work already at their schools around climate projects. So really the intention of today from this point is for the session to be almost wholly and entirely led by the children from our Changemaker Schools Network, and the adults in the room are really here just to support where the tech support, where the admin stuff. But beyond that, this session is all about the children and the children leading this climate conversation. So with that, I am going to be quiet and really hand over to Sarah Carr, who is one of our youth facilitators today, who will talk us through some of what we're trying to do with the session today. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Prerna. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Sarah. I went to one of the aforementioned Ashoka Changemaker schools, and I've been working on this project for about 6 months. And I thought I'd just give you a little bit of context as to what's led us up to this session today. So we've really been facilitating a space where students can meet online to discuss their initiatives around climate action. And at a time where climate anxiety is really on the rise, we've been really trying to support a network of climate conscious students and giving them a space where they can collaborate on future projects to do with tackling climate change, as this is going to be one of the greatest challenges that really faces our generation. And we're particularly interested in the relationship between students and school leaders. And we believe that students are really the ones who can be leading these climate and sustainable initiatives, and looking at how school leaders and the wider adult community can be a supporting figure and play a more co-leadership role in these projects. And so that kind of brings us to the aim of today's session, which we're going to be running in 2 parts. So we'll have our panel session to start with, where our young people will be sharing their stories and what they've been doing in their schools to tackle climate change. And then we'll have some time for you to ask them some questions. Maybe there are any details that you'd like them to go into further, or what the challenges they faced with these projects and how they overcame them. And then we'll move into some breakout rooms where we'd like you all to collaborate on creating a vision for a sustainable school. And again, looking at how this might be a challenge and how we can overcome this. And we really would like everyone to reflect on how adults can use their knowledge to support children and allow them to play a really kind of leading role in this. So our young people that we've got with us today, we have students from Sands School in Totnes, we've got Millfields from Hackney, and then Barrowford in Lancashire, and they're all going to share some of their stories with us. And I think I'm right in saying that we've got Esme from Barrowford who is going to start us off. So maybe Esme, if you could introduce yourself and a little bit about your story.
Hi, my name is Esme and I'm from Barrowford School. And today, me and Saffron, we'll be talking to you about things that we've been doing since we were, as soon as we started the school, we started learning about climate change and how to stop it, because I feel like the earlier you learn, the more you're going to want to protect it. So ever since we've been in EYFS or reception, we have been making bug hotels and different things. Audio. Okay. And from there, it really did start to get very important in our school. So we don't eat any red meat anymore, and we have 2 meat-free days a week. We've tried making furniture and sheds out of plastic bottles before. We grow some of our own food, and we've got a lot of trees that we look after around our school. And we always make sure whenever we do anything to do with the climate, we send the message home. So we have Twitter and YouTube that where parents can see what their children have been doing on the climate, and it really does make a difference if you can go up to your parents and say, oh, we've learned about this, can we try being more sustainable by doing this? And I think that's really good. One of the things we did when we were in year 3 was we made a school out. We made a model of a accessible and all people friendly school. But before that, we'd already learned about sustainability, and we decided that when we were designing it, we wanted to make it as sustainable as possible. So we used all recycled materials, and then when we were planning out if it was going to be a real school, we said, oh, we'd make it out of bamboo, and we'd use recycled plastic instead of buying new things. And that really helped, because now we can't think of doing a school project without making something in it sustainable. And I think that's really good.
Amazing, Esme. Thank you for sharing that one with us. I think we're now going to move on to students from SAMS to tell us a bit about what they've been doing there.
Okay, so in a moment, Jules is going to play a short clip from one of the climate marches that we were attending before COVID happened properly, and then I will explain more afterwards.
Okay. Can we all see that?
Can we all see the screen?
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so as I said, that's a very short clip from one of the Friday for Future marches that we were attending in Exeter before COVID properly hit and stopped all that. I don't think we have been attending them since before COVID really properly. So I think that's just a really kind of positive thing that we were doing before obviously all this and yeah, before COVID, and yeah, we just wanted to share that. And then and then the so I have a little thing about the climate action group that we had a few years ago. So in 2018, we launched a climate action group. It was given an hour of school time to explore how best to reduce the climate footprint of the school and executive authority to put those ideas into practice without reference back to the school meeting. That has the powers normally held by the head governors of any other school. This group of mainly students decided to turn the school vegan and ban the use of dairy produce, though we already are a vegetarian school. This started fascinating conversations about the food we eat, food miles, organic food, eating local, etc. We've returned to be a vegetarian school, but the stuff we learned on the way is amazing. And we were already going on climate marches, and the elephant in the video we watched attracted a lot of attention and interest. And that's Evie, and then Evie, you're gonna. Yeah.
Okay, maybe one of the main reasons we care about preserving nature and the natural world may be because we have beautiful grounds where we play and learn, and we spend days out on the moor. We're in the river on the first sunny day, no matter how cold, or cancel lessons to play in the snow on the first day of snowfall. It's probably true that young people need to create nature around them or be in it to fall in love with it. and then they are more likely to want to preserve it. We have beautiful grounds where we play and have planted trees. We have a vegetable garden, a composting system, planted bee and butterfly areas, have a forest school area, but also swings, a zip wire, and students that spend hours outside every day.
Okay, so maybe a useful story to share is the one of Lilly and the polar bear. Lilly was in school a few years ago. She's an ex-student who wanted to raise awareness of the ice sheets and melting polar bears starving. She decided to build a life-size polar bear, call the press and locals to join her on a march with the polar bear onto the Dartmoor, where she planned to give a speech about their story. She worked for 3 months on this project, missing class, finding experts and roping in friends and staff to help her. Eventually, she gathered around 300 people for her to walk onto Dartmoor. As a result, the school decided to access a green energy supplier, do an energy audit, and explore solar paneling and alternative energy sources for the school. Being with the Dartmoor National Park meant that we weren't able to do anything, but regulations are changing, and today we are voting on whether to declare ourselves a climate emergency school and begin a new round of climate responsive initiatives like an electric bus, heat source responsive initiatives like, heat source pumps, and a new self-sufficient science lab with green roof and passive heating.
Stop sharing.
Should I-
Just finish it.
Is there anything else you guys would like to share?
I think that's it for now.
That's it for now. Thank you for showing your beautiful photos with us as well. I have to say, I really want to just go outside now, which I think is one of the aims of today, getting us back in touch with nature. And then finally, we've got students from Millfields.
Yeah. Okay, so I am Victor. I'm the environmental minister of the Millfields Community School. This is.
I'm Isla, the Prime Minister of the school, and I'm Remy, the Deputy Prime Minister of our school. Okay, so one of our ideas, so we had so it was an initiative to pick up litter, and make our streets an cleaner environment for our community. So when we first did this, we weren't expecting many people to turn up, but quite a lot of people turned up.
Yeah. So we started it in I think it was September almost. I think so, last September, and since then we have picked up over 70 bags of litter, I think.
Yeah, and loads of people on the streets have appreciated it, and it's like yeah, do you want to say anything, Victor?
Yeah, so there's also loads of children involved. We thought, maybe it's quite early in the day. As Isla and Remy said, we weren't expecting anyone.
Yeah,
but the amount of people, and also everyone was joining in. It's a great learning experience for everyone, and they really learn a lot about trash. And this also encouraged them at home, because people just buy things, throw it in the bin. That's that. But children were actually learning a lot more than we expected.
Yeah, like the local residents, some people on our first, second, third go, they sometimes walked by and said, "Oh, wow, this is really good what you're doing. Keep it up." And that was it was really good. It was, and it kind of encouraged us to keep on going.
Yeah.
We also had another idea, and it was the weekly vegan day. So before in our school, we had one vegetarian day. Now we have 2 days, but they're both vegan. So this is really good, and it's encouraged people to eat less meat, and it's it's more healthy.
Yeah, and I think we thought of an idea for our perfect school, and we did some research and realized that there is something called an eco brick, which uses recycled plastic in a plastic bottle, and you can use them as bricks. And I thought that we could make our school out of that. So instead of wasting plastic, we could use those bottles filled with recycled plastic to build our school. And I thought that was a very, really good idea. And so
we're dreaming big, but it's kind of what we have to do. Also, back to the lunch hall. Also, we had a lot of problems a couple of years back. Not even a couple, a lot. But lots of food is going to waste, even though children would eat quite a lot. They'll throw it away in the bin. Again, not really thinking about where it goes. But so we introduced compost bins into the lunch hall, and now nothing goes to waste. All goes to
now we have compost, and our school is becoming more eco-friendly. Every second, I guess.
So that's I think our story of the school. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. I think we all need some more of those eco bricks in our lives. So we've got a little bit of time now. If anyone has any questions that they would like to address to any of the students about the projects that they've done, the processes that they went through, it would be really great if you could use the little Zoom icon to kind of put your hand up, and I will try and get through as many questions as we can. Alternatively, if the Zoom icon with the hand doesn't work, also feel free to pop them in the chat as well.
I think we've got a hand up with Victoria, if you want to get us started.
Hi, I absolutely love those job titles that you've got, the Environment Minister, the Prime Minister and the Deputy Minister. I was just interested to hear actually what's involved in being Environment Minister, and how we might get something similar going in our school.
So guys from Millfields, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about what being the Environment Minister involves?
Okay, so Victor, I'm the Environment Minister, as you probably, not probably, but yes, I'm the Environment Minister. So at the start, I was presented with the opportunity, not just of being an environmental minister, but all the ministers, transport, chancellors, things like that. But I was at the time I wasn't amazingly passionate about the environment. But I cared a bit. I wasn't quite as dramatic as I am now, but I thought I'd have a go, and straight away, I don't know why, I guess the responsibility that I started becoming more sustainable by the minute, recycling more, reducing, and I didn't just do it at home, I also introduced it into the school environment, because my friends are really unsustainable. So I had to fix them up a bit, let's say. So yeah, and also not just class, whole school, and I'm quite my friends would say harsh about anything I see that's quite harmful. But I might shout at people, but it's about if I'm just kind, you could actually recycle that, my message won't get through. I have to be loud and proud so everyone can hear me, and that's the best way to influence people, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my environmental minister story.
That's amazing. Thank you, Victor. Thanks for sharing that.
Cool. So I've just got another question in the chat. So this one is from Megan. Megan's saying that she'd like to know what sort of feedback the schools had experienced by making changes to the food hall. So I know Sans, you guys also made some changes. So it'd be interesting to hear a bit from you about the feedback that you got, probably both from kind of students, teachers and parents.
So was that question directly to us?
I'm not sure. Megan, did you have a particular school that you wanted to frame that one to?
No, I'm interested to kind of see what both of the schools were saying, because I know you guys both mentioned that. It might have been Esme's school actually that also mentioned it, but in terms of, for me, student, parent and teacher feedback, I just think that would be really interesting to hear, because I've kind of tried to do similar things in the schools that I'm connected with, but I'm a bit conscious of what the feedback would be. So if you haven't done it in SANS, then obviously it's not directed to you.
Okay.
So okay,
I don't know.
okay. So from when we've returned to being vegetarian now, but as sustainably and local as possible. So when we were vegan, then the parent and teacher feedback, I think, was almost all positive. And people kind of supported it and thought it was like a great sustainable way to reduce our footprint. I think student feedback was also mainly positive, but a lot of people kind of miss things like, you know, cheese and milk and butter and dairy products. And so we vote, because we have a democratic school, in our school we have a meeting every week at which we vote on important matters like that. So I guess we voted democratically to return to being vegetarian, but we still try to be as sustainable as possible.
Like we have oat milk.
Yeah, we have oat milk, like and sort of organic cow milk, and as organic and local dairy produce as possible.
Cool, thank you. And maybe Esme and Saffron from Barrowford, would you like to tell us a little bit about the feedback that you got as well when you made the changes to your vegetarian days?
So we used to be a fully vegetarian school, and no students or parents noticed. Nobody outside of it was nobody inside the school even noticed. And when the children found out, they didn't really mind. And a few of them did, and then it was people that weren't involved with the school that we had to change it. But we have mostly vegetarian options. We usually only have 1 or 2 meat options now.
Thank you guys for sharing that one. Megan, does that fully answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was more just being intrigued to what the response was more than anything, and I'm glad that it was mostly positive.
Of course. Does anyone else have any other questions that they'd either like to kind of put your hands up in the chat, or I think we're probably in a space where if you'd like to just direct your questions to the students, you're more than welcome to.
I think Liz has her hand up, and then I also saw Franklin. So maybe Liz and Franklin, is there 2 more questions?
Cool.
Sure. My question was just prompted by Tara and Evie from SANS, because from their attending the climate march. And I just wondered if that was something that had been supported by school, facilitated by school for them to go, whether it is something that happened more than once, because I'm aware of some schools who've taken the whole year group onto one of the Fridays for Future marches. And I know Fridays for Future is still continuing, and I just wondered how schools are fitting in with that, really, whether Fridays for Future is still recognised and thought about, and how the teachers reacted to the young people wanting to go on those marches.
Obviously after COVID's happened, we haven't been going to the marches because of, you know, they've been cancelled, or we haven't really like brought it back to our we haven't like voted on going back yet. So before COVID, I know that it was definitely very like supported and facilitated by teachers and, you know, everyone throughout the school. And we went, I think, every Friday.
I've got no idea.
I wasn't actually, I'm a fairly new student, so I wasn't here for that. but I know that it was definitely very, I'd say, supported, and we got the teachers to drive us on our bus and everything. So I think it was very well supported.
I can say a bit if you want, because I was here for all the climate march stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Basically, a lot of students treated, like across the country, obviously treated some strikes as a chance to skive school, but in our school, because the teachers genuinely talked to us about the problem of climate change and we were able to have the proper discussions, we were able to get the school buses and all of us drive to the march. And actually, like the week before, we would be making signs, having discussions, and most of the time, most of the school went. There weren't really many lessons on if you didn't want to go. So for some people, obviously it's quite intense going to a big crowd of shouting people. But apart from that, our teachers were really welcoming. In fact, they tried to convince people who didn't want to go because it is such an important part of our lives that could change. And the bigger the number of people, the harder it is to ignore, basically.
Thank you guys for sharing that with us. Is that all good for you, Liz?
Yeah, perfect. Really good. Thank you.
And then I think we had a final question from, is it Gaia? Apologies if I pronounced that completely wrong.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I don't know if Franklin had one, though. You mentioned Franklin had a question.
Maybe, Franklin, did you have a question? Maybe those can be our 2 questions before we do move on.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. So firstly, I am hugely inspired and with so much more hope following this conversation. So thank you so much to all the students at Sands, Barrowford and Millfield. This has been amazing. It really sort of starts my day on a really, really positive note. And I'm just really curious from the students, whoever of you guys want to comment, how this experience that you've had, which is one of tremendous responsibility, as well as quite different from the traditional school experience, how it has shaped your thinking about what you want to do next. And even if within your school you now have the opportunity to suggest alternative courses or curriculum that can help you learn more and explore more about the environment and climate change. So how are you thinking of taking all these incredible experiences that you've had with extracurricular activities into your own plan for learning in this school and beyond? If anybody wants to comment on that.
That's a brilliant question. Thank you. Our 3 schools, is there anyone who would like to lead in answering that one?
So I'm going to high school this time, and I really want to try and get some of the things that we do here to where I'm going. So add more sustainable things to the high school I'm going to, and even try and get them to join Ashoka, and because I just want to try and get as many schools as possible to do things for the environment.
That sounds like a really, really good plan, Esme. Our guys from Millfields and Sons, do you have anything to add?
I think we can add something if you have time.
Go for it.
Okay, so in my not very long actually time at Sands, so I've kind of benefited a lot in like kind of climate awareness, learning a lot about like climate awareness again and sort of the effects of it, how we can stop it, sustainability. And then I've also gained a lot of kind of other like experiences that I can use in later life and like put on my CV, and really like useful things to do with climate sustainability. And I don't know, I just think it's like benefited me a lot learning more about it and being kind of educated. Then I can care about it like a lot more. Like you were saying, if you kind of care about something, then you want to like act more and
think especially this
Yeah.
sort of thing and taking the ideas from the other schools and thinking, what else could we do?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I can definitely relate to that one as well. And Milford, do you want to say something as well?
Yeah, so yeah, I think we've raised awareness because Vicky, who's a deputy head, she also has lots of assemblies, and loads of people are aware of climate change. And we also have eco champs.
Yeah, eco champions. So we have meetings every once in a while, quite often. So to all the eco champions and me, the environmental stuff, we all discuss ideas. Mainly Vicky's running the sessions, and me.
Yeah, you.
And so we discuss more plans, and then we speak to the children in assemblies and things like that. So yeah, that's how we.
Yeah. Also, we're quite involved with marches, I guess, because we've because we went on a march, and it was in front of the it was in front of the library, and it was really fun, and we got to hear what loads of people said, and it's just like really inspirational for us, and yeah,
I guess that's it.
Great, thank you guys. And I think we can all see a future environment minister there in Victor as well. So what we would like to do now is split out into breakout rooms, and we will have a room with some of our students leading. The idea is that we will have some time for a scavenger hunt where we would like you to collect some objects just kind of from wherever you are, your study, your school. And then we would like to work together to build what your green school would look like, or if not your green school, but maybe a project within the organization that you work in to encourage climate action. And then we would like to really think about why doesn't this happen, and what are the barriers to this happening, and work together with our adults and our young people in the breakout rooms to think about how we could overcome these barriers. So I think Prerna's going to work her technological wizardry, and hopefully we will all be allocated into breakout rooms. I believe there will be someone in the main room, so if you have any difficulties, pop back into the main room and you can be kind of reassigned into a breakout. So just while Prerna is doing her stuff, maybe have a little think about whether the objects that you're going to grab to start building your project or school and what that might look like.
Hi everyone, good to see you. Coming back. How was your breakout group?
Good.
It was smashing. We had schools made of chocolate.
Nice. Making me hungry.
Cool, thank you, Prerna. I hope everyone enjoyed getting a little bit creative there. I know certainly I did, making a school out of oat milk chocolate. I mean, the only barrier to that not working obviously would just be the sunshine. So I think what we'd quite like to do just to wrap up is do a little almost storytelling exercise and think about our greener school. And I'd like to start a story with our greener school is. And then please feel free to unmute yourselves and carry on the story. So if I were to begin, this greener school is, and if someone could build upon that for me.
Yeah, a place that children really want to attend every day.
Supported by adults in the local community.
Which has a positive impact on the planet rather than a negative.
And enables children to change their world and the world.
and helps them see how they can continue to do that through their professional lives.
And constantly tells everybody what they're doing and why they're doing it. Somebody said sending the message home.
And really sees what young people need to develop and how they need to grow in order to thrive in the future.
That does more things like this.
And is surrounded by trees, gardens, and vegetable gardens.
That embraces the themes of student empowerment and student leadership.
More creative influence.
Vegan.
And then to make this school a reality, we would need to
listen to the children.
Find our courage.
Stay loud.
Give all the support.
Good practice.
Work together.
Get adults on board.
Give all the support we can from our local community.
Make time.
Listen to lots of ideas.
Make this a priority.
Make sure everybody gets a say.
And change our assessment system. So this is the stuff that we're assessing, because that's when it becomes important.
Link it to national priorities. Link it to national priorities like move to net zero economy.
And above all, just do it. Don't just talk about it, but just do it. Get acting.
That is such a beautiful and such a powerful one. Any other continuations before we wrap up? Amazing. Thank you so much for everyone for being here this morning, bringing your best childlike selves to the room. Also, I know it might feel strange coming into a Zoom meeting and building schools made of oat milk chocolate and thinking of the world as ice cream, but I think in sort of really unleashing our creativity and really listening to these brilliant children who have shared their stories in a room full of adults. I know we're not in person, but I just want to give a round of applause to the students to really have the courage to speak to all of you and hold this space as beautifully as they all have. And really inspiring each and every one of us to just do if all of these kids can do it. There's no reason why all of us in whatever positions we are can't really make the steps to enable such beautiful creativity and really listen to the children's ideas. So with that, I also just wanted to mention all of these schools that you've heard from today have been part of climate conversations together. So every few months, these schools and quite a few more within our wider network come together to have climate conversations, to share the projects they're working on, but also learn from each other, be inspired from each other so that they can do more both individually at their schools and collaborate with one another. So it's a really, really exciting space that all of these students and many more have been part of. I know that all of you who have attended today might be working with children and schools in various different capacities. If you do want any of the students from your schools to be getting involved in these climate conversations, we would love to have them on board. So before we wrap up, I will put my email address in the chat. And if that's exciting for you, then just drop me an email and we will make sure we can get your students involved in that. And even beyond that, if you just want to have a chat about the work that Ashoka is doing or any of the Changemaker schools are doing on climate or just change making as a whole. I think we've heard some really interesting ideas around democratic schools today as well. So if there are any questions or things you want to learn more about, drop me an email and either I will be able to answer them or I'll direct you to some of the brilliant schools that we have heard from today, so you can continue some of those conversations. Also want to leave this space for if anyone's had really interesting conversations today that they want to take forward directly with those people, then pop your email addresses in the chat and make sure there's that space to exchange details if you want to, but also absolutely no pressure. So yeah, thank you again, everyone, for attending. Sarah, for being such a brilliant host and facilitator and really bringing us together. And again, such a huge round of applause for all the children today who have shared their stories. And let's all go love the world and the environment as much as we like and love our ice cream, vegan or otherwise. Amazing. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for organising, Anna.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well done, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Well done, young people.